This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 461, How to Take the Good with the Bad When Selling.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and have you ever tried to bend a deal to your will only to have it break? This is something humans do all the time, thinking that they can will nature to their bidding. Well, this is not the case. Savvy sellers know that winter follows fall, fall follows summer, and summer follows spring. So like farmers, they understand their sales cycles like the phases of the moon. How do you adopt this point of view as a seller? That's the topic for today. But before we start, please make sure and subscribe to the podcast on whatever app that you're listening to. You can find the link in the show notes. And now today's chapter, Making Hay. Some say you need to take the good with the bad, but the master seller sees no difference. Some days it rains. Some days the sun shines. Both necessary for a rich harvest. Knowing that the easy day is balanced with the hard, the master seller makes hay when the sun shines. For tomorrow it may rain. And now today's story. Chris was having a good month, closing deal after deal. Like they say, this is a good problem to have. But it was a problem since it made for long days and long weeks. I'd like to take some time off, Chris mused. You can, said Pat, but you might want to rethink that. Why, said Chris. Pat went on, remember what happened last year? Most of our business happened in these 2 months. Then it was all we could do to squeeze out more for the rest of the year. It might make sense to suck it up and keep at it for another 4 weeks. Chris nodded. Oh yeah, I do remember. This business is so seasonal. Never mind, I'm going to get back to it. According to the Canadian poet Brian Brett, farming is a profession of hope. Isn't this true of sales too? Monthly goals and quotas can be silly if they don't take into account the cyclic nature of purchasing. The awake seller does their work and accepts the seasonal pattern of the world. They make hay while the sun shines. To download a copy of this week's Tao of Sales Babble chapter, you can find it in the show notes at www.salesbabble.com. And while you're there, you can sign up for our brief weekly newsletter with links to the podcast conveniently sent to your inbox. I won't spam you, I promise. Next, if you could do me a favor and share this episode with one friend, just one person who's interested in growing their selling skills, that would really help. If you have any questions about this episode or any other episode, find me on LinkedIn or click on the Babble Me link on the website. With that said, that's all I have for this week. Until next Tuesday, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble Podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.
This is a production of Habanero Media.